What do you want from Santa?
A Kindle.
Oh, wow. That's pretty good. Well, you must be a high IQ person. We need more high IQ people in the country.
Absolutely adorable. President Trump talking to the kids on Christmas Eve. What do you want Santa to bring you? This kid said a Kindle. A Kindle. Not a PlayStation. Not a video game console. A Kindle. Kid wanted to read, so the president assumed you're a high IQ person. I loved it. And then we need more high IQ people in the country. He's right. He's right. Welcome to Boxing Day, day after Christmas. It's also a thank you note day. If you look at that list of what day is today, today is thank you note day. So if somebody did something nice for you, or if you got something nice, today's the day you're supposed to write that thank you note and send it out. And maybe you do the old-fashioned way, put pen to paper and put it in the post box and send it out. I know an email's real easy to do, but it's nice to get the old-fashioned snail mail. But the president talking to the kids was pretty classic. And unlike I think the last time Joe Biden did this, there was a guy on the phone, a parent who was on with the kid, and he ended the call with, "Let's go, Brandon," and Biden repeated it because he didn't know where he was or what was going on. Speaking of Joe Biden, one of the more strange moments over the holiday, the Christmas Eve picture posted by the Biden family, really kind of bizarre. First of all, you're the former president of the United States, and nobody in your entourage, nobody in the family knows how to use Photoshop. The picture's really dark, and it features Joe and Jill, and it looks like some of the kids and at least one grandchild in there. But Joe is in the back. You could just barely see him. He's behind his wife, but you can only see like part of his head. It's really bizarre. And, of course, I don't think Hunter's daughter Navy is to be seen anywhere. But the official Biden Twitter post says, "Wishing you a peaceful and joyful Christmas Eve filled with love," which is great. But, again, the person who is really front and center in this post is Hunter. And this goes back to what I said the other day. Is Hunter Biden positioning himself, or is the Biden family positioning Hunter for some sort of return to public eye, maybe to public service? If we go back and listen to things that Hunter said in that interview, it sure sounds like he's trying to go closer to the center than any of the other Democrats that we're seeing as possible 2028 candidates. Stranger things have happened, I will tell you that. But this photo, if you haven't seen it, it's on the Joe Biden Twitter X account. And it's just weird because, A, the lighting is horrible, and that can be easily fixed. If I were to take this photo and copy it, and I could put it into the Photoshop or any number of editing programs and fix it in a minute or less. But somebody wasn't thinking when they did this, because Joe's hidden in the back. Then again, maybe he's not well. Maybe he's not well at all. We'll discuss throughout. We have many things to discuss today, as well as the latest updates, if there are any, on the kinetic actions we took, the strikes we made against the ISIS camps in Nigeria, on the border with Niger. The President of the United States announced it yesterday. The Secretary of War says this will not be the last of the strikes. So we will see what happens, if there will be more bombs dropped, more attacks on the ISIS camps that have been going after Christians in that part of the world, killing Christians. And that no doubt it was intentionally done on Christmas Eve, Christmas Day. The significance is obviously important. Of the date is obviously important. I want to get as many of your calls in here before I jump into my free speech rant and rave, because we do have to do a little free speech ranting and raving today. It looks like the world is starting to stand up and say, no, we can't have all this free speech. And one of the people who seems to be joining them is Jimmy Kimmel. I'll get to that just around the corner. But Jerry was holding on for a bit here. Jerry in West Virginia. Hello, Jerry. Welcome to the Chris Plant Show.
Michael.
What's on your mind?
Well, Merry Christmas to you and Happy New Year.
Thank you.
Before I forget, let's bring back the Iowa-class battleships. I mean, retrofit it, but keep one turret open to the old type of projectile that would scare the bejesus out of the neighborhood.
Okay, so we take the old Iowa class out of mothballs. We retrofit them with some of the new technology, these rail-mounted, these laser guns, and then you keep
Right.
some of the old-fashioned stuff. I say old-fashioned, but it's still quite deadly equipment that could deliver some pretty solid punches.
Save some money. You take them out of mothballs. There's museum ships right now.
And I'm sure they could be done quicker than building a completely new one. So while we're building the new one, let's update some of the old stuff and repurpose it, if you will. That's a good idea.
Exactly so.
Well done.
Thanks, Michael, for taking my call.
Were you in the service, sir?
Yes, I was in the Navy.
Thank you, sir. My father was too. We appreciate that. God bless you. Let's go to John in Woodbridge. John, joining us. We were talking earlier about the editing of It's a Wonderful Life. There are a whole bunch of people not happy about the fact that Amazon Prime cut 22 minutes out of an 130-minute movie. Your thoughts, sir?
Well, thank you for taking my call this morning, and a belated Merry Christmas to you.
Thank you. Same to you.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree. It's one of my wife's favorite movies. She watches it every year. We have it on DVD, and I always have to leave the room when Uncle Billy hands the folded newspaper with the money inside to Mr. Potter. That causes the whole thing. But that being said, the part that was cut is the whole story, and so it makes no sense. But our son-in-law and daughter were visiting yesterday for Christmas, and they had seen it streamed on Amazon, and they explained the reasoning for it is there's a complicated copyright issue actually involved. I think the copyright for the movie itself went into expired or lapsed due to some sort of clerical error back in 1974, I think it was. If I remember what I read correctly, and so anybody could stream it or whatever the movie, but unfortunately the score, the musical score for that part that was cut, that copyright did not lapse. And then there's also some other complicated copyright issues associated with the short story. I think it was a short story on which the movie was originally based. So as a result of that, they can't, they can't stream that part of it, which is the whole movie. So why bother doing it at that point? So, it wasn't like for commercial reasons or whatever. It had to do with some complicated copyright issues.
Well, that's a really interesting story because that should be front and center in any reporting of it. That should be out there. They do mention in the New York Post reporting that in '74 the distributor failed to renew the movie's copyright, sending it to the public domain. So people had played it for almost 2 decades during the holidays without paying royalties, and then this shift happened in the 1990s. And then the original story, by the way, the one you mentioned, The Greatest Gift, from Philip Van Doren Stern, and the musical score was where the legal block was posted. But you think with all the technology we have, we can cut words out of music or music out from behind the singing and then separate them? You think we'd be able to fix that and be able to resolve this so that the core message of the film could exist? But not today, I guess, which is troubling. But thank you, John. Thank you for the clarity on that. It is one of those troubling issues of the day, on this very important day. I know. Do we have bigger issues than the streaming of It's a Wonderful Life? Maybe. I think we do. There are a couple other stories that I'm watching outside of our kinetic military action taking out the ISIS camps in Nigeria to try and stop the killing of Christians in that part of the world. There is a story that happened just before the Christmas break that the Supreme Court told President Trump he could not deploy the National Guard to the city of Chicago. But it wasn't quite that simple. It was not quite that simple. It looks like there may be some wiggle room in that Supreme Court decision that will allow the president to, in fact, eventually get what he wants in terms of putting boots on the ground to help ICE do its job. And we'll have to dive into that. It's going to take a little more time to explain that. But suffice it to say, the Supreme Court's decision was something that the Democrats were cheering, but upon further review, I have time to get to this. Let's get to this. This is the breakdown that was explained on Fox News that I think is very good news for what the administration wants to do to let ICE do its job and keep moving people out of the cities and ultimately out of the country, people here illegally.
Initially, recently said, look, I'm trying to enforce the laws with ICE agents, with federal law enforcement, and I can't do it, so I need to call the National Guard. But the statute says the president has to be unable to enforce the law with regular forces. What does regular forces mean? We don't know. The Supreme Court has never decided that question before yesterday. The Supreme Court now says regular forces means you have to try with the regular armed forces first before you can bring out the National Guard.
Now, this is John Yoo, who is a Berkeley law professor. John Yoo is saying that according to what the Supreme Court said, Donald Trump can be blocked from sending the National Guard, but if Donald Trump, the president, commander-in-chief, sends in the regular army and says they can't get the job done, then he can, in fact, deploy the National Guard. Does that mean we're going to start seeing regular army deployed? Interesting. Listen to the rest of the breakdown here from Professor Yu.
So the unintended consequence here might be that the president is going to have to call the 82nd Airborne or the Marines or the 101st Airborne Division, as, for example, President Eisenhower did after Brown versus Board of Education in the South to enforce desegregation. President Trump might have to do that first in order to protect those federal buildings, those ICE agents. And then if they fail, he can then call out the National Guard.
So this is effectively the Democrats thinking they had boxed President Trump in on this decision with the Supreme Court. But it appears that based on the actual text of this decision and what was said, the president may have just gotten a major green light, a blinking green light. We'll see what happens on this. And now today is the day I think the National Guard is being welcomed into New Orleans. Now, the city of Chicago doesn't want to have anything to do with the National Guard. We'll get to the city of Chicago and what the mayor has been saying lately as well. But the city of New Orleans will have the National Guard welcome them with open arms. We'll see how quickly they clean up that area. And then if there is a change in what's going to happen in Chicago, it may require the Marines showing up first. We will see. We will see that. The phone number is 888-630-9625, 888-630-9625. We'll get back to the phones. Plus, as I said, I want to talk about the First Amendment and free speech. The left, they don't like free speech. If we lose free speech, the whole deal's over. I'm just going to say, we're going to fight for free speech. It's Mike Opelka in for Chris Plant on The Chris Plant Show. It is The Chris Plant Show. Mike Opelka in for Chris Plant. During the holidays, it is a Friday, which is a good thing. So we're going to have a weekend, which seems like we kind of cheated a little bit. That's just so bizarre to me, but we have so much to get to. Earlier today, I talked about the announcement of the North Koreans saying that they have built this giant submarine. And I'm looking at the picture, and I'm thinking, this can't be real. This has got to be some kind of AI thing. Grok made this, or ChatGPT made this, or whatever. And so I posted it on social media, and I wonder if I'm right. Well, let's check in with Seth, listening in Boston. Hello, Seth. Welcome to the Chris Plant Show.
Hey, Mike. Thanks for posting that picture. It's very illuminating. I have an idea what it might be. I don't think it's a submarine. I think
really?
It's a giant Oscar Mayer hot dog vehicle that is designed to be paraded through the country. And the only problem is I think if people attack it, the starving people in North Korea might attack it with knives and forks and scratch up the paint job. They might have to touch that up. But,
now that I look at it, Seth, I look at the picture that Kim Jong-un, Little Rocket Man, put a big sub picture. It does look like the Wienermobile. It looks like a gigantic version of the Wienermobile. And you're right, though. The starving people of North Korea, although do they have any understanding what the Oscar Mayer Wiener really is? Well done. Really well done. For those of you, if you haven't seen it, I posted it on my Twitter X account. If you just look up Mike Opelka, you'll see it. It's right there. It's a gigantic submarine that, if it's real, well, they said they're going to take a little while before they actually test it in the water. It's I'm waiting for the video to show up where they roll it off out of the shipbuilding yard into the water, and then it just keeps going down, 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 and never floats, which would be funny to me. We also talked briefly about the president authorizing the construction of 2 new massive warships, and people have been talking about that. Phil is in Hot Springs, Arkansas. Phil, you're not sitting on a winning Powerball ticket, are you?
If I did, I would share it.
Well, thank you. Michael Piercy and I and Maria Leaf would be willing to help you spend the money.
You deserve it. You do a great job.
Thank you, brother.
I was speaking about the ships. We're needing ships, correct?
Yes, sir.
I believe the North Koreans may possibly have one that belongs to us. Is that correct?
Do they still have a ship of ours?
I was trying to find out. And if we do, we can start by getting that one.
You're not talking about the Pueblo, are you?
The one that was captured?
Yeah, I know they returned the crew to us, so you're not talking about a long time ago during the Vietnam War. We're talking about Okay.
No, the old one.
I have to go back and look. I know we got the crew back from the Pueblo. I wonder if they ever gave us the ship back. Somebody will know. 888-630-9625. Thank you, Phil. That's a great question. It's Mike Opelka in for Chris Plant on The Chris Plant Show. And welcome back to The Chris Plant Show. Mike Opelka celebrating Christmas, Boxing Day, Thank You Note Day, all those days that you're supposed to celebrate today. Hope you and yours had a great Christmas. We have a lot to get to today. I want to talk about some of the big free speech questions out there, but we've been talking about some of the stories related to the military. The president announcing that we had taken some kinetic military action against ISIS camps in Nigeria near the border with Niger, and in conjunction with the government of Nigeria to wipe out the people who have been killing Christians in that part of the world. And the Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, said, we may not be done. And then we talked a little bit about the 2 warships the president announced last week, which will be built. We talked a little bit about whether or not North Korea actually has this giant submarine that they put up pictures of. It doesn't look real. And one of you said it looks like a giant Wienermobile, which I'll never unsee that. And then we started discussing the USS Pueblo, which was captured during the Vietnam War era. And we were wondering, has it been returned to us? We know the crew after they were horribly treated, was eventually released to America. But Steve is calling from Glendale to share the full details on the USS Pueblo. Steve, welcome to the Chris Plant Show, sir.
Hey, thanks for taking my call. The Pueblo is still in North Korea today. In 1968, they let the people go, but they didn't give us back the ship. I had a friend of mine who went to my grade school, St. John the Baptist de La Salle in Chilham, Maryland, Larry Chicka. He was a young Marine on that ship. And, man, we were all worried about him. They finally returned the crew, but they still have the ship today.
Yeah, that's got to be a problem, and I'm hoping maybe President Trump finds a way to get that ship released. I bet since it never was decommissioned, at least I don't think it was, since it's been in enemy hands, that is one of those things that we could keep asking for it to be returned. I haven't heard boo on that for a while. Is your friend still with us, Steve?
You know, I lost touch with Larry Chicka years ago, but we both played in the band at the school, and, you know, he had a big family, big Catholic family, lived up on Ray Road just outside of Northeast Washington, and, man, he shook up the whole community when we found out about that.
I would imagine. There were a lot of American families during that era that had candles in the window during the Vietnam era. Well, thank you for your story. Thank you for sharing that and the clarity on that. Appreciate it. It is a bad situation. We need to get that submarine back, or that ship back. It's not a submarine. You know, there's a new book from a great writer who was a former SEAL, Jack Carr. I think he's also got some TV series from his work as well. His new book, Cry Havoc, also includes some of the details of the capture of the Pueblo in it. It's a very good book, very, very exciting thriller. I read more biographies than anything else, but Cry Havoc is worth your time if you're looking for a quick read. Let's do one more call on the submarines, etc. Chuck is in Tennessee. Chuck, welcome to the Chris Plant Show.
How you doing there, Mr. Peltas? Thank you for taking my call.
Oh, I'm great.
I was in
My
the service
pleasure.
on submarines during the late 70s and the early 80s. And if you're going to build a giant submarine, I would say that's AI. I haven't even seen a picture, but I don't see their technology doing it. They have so much problems with missiles. And now to build a giant submarine where, you know, most of the submarine is underwater, 2/3 of it's always underwater. So you got depth problems when you come into channels. And then you have to hide the thing out there. It has to be able to survive underwater. We got the technology for that. They don't. If I have a chance for a quick story, during the 70s, when we were trying to be friends with Iran, we gave them one of our diesel boats, and we sent people over there to go help train them on how to operate it. And a lot of submariners out there, if they're listening, they might be going, "Oh yeah, I remember this," because it's a story throughout the whole service. But they, and the minute they took over the boat and our sailors left, the first dive they did, without our sailors there to instruct them on how to do it, they dove the boat with all the hatches open. And they all got out. So that was the extent of Iran's submarine service.
I'm not laughing at them, but yes, I am. Absolutely.
Well, they all got out. Now, the second is if they have as much problems with their submarines, North Korea, as they did with their missiles, I wouldn't wish any person to ever be stuck under the water in a submarine.
Yeah,
that is something that every submariner knows about.
So, Chuck, thank you for your service, number one, but did you ever do extended time under where you guys didn't surface for a long time? I have a friend who, I think he said 1 year he spent 200 days completely underwater.
Yeah, I was on a fast attack, which was you had two types of subs. You got ballistic missiles and fast attacks. And fast attacks are designed to hunt down. They're hunter-killers. They're designed to hunt and kill enemy submarines. And you never want to be on the surface. You always want to be underwater. Now, you may come up and change your air. You do that using a snorkel. They might not have to do that so often now, but one of our patrols lasted 63 days.
Wow. 63 days underwater. God bless you guys for everything you do to protect this country. Thank you. Thank you so much for that. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. I know I said I was only taking one more call, but Brad is on the phone in Grand Rapids, Michigan. How do you not talk to Brad in Grand Rapids, Michigan? Hello, Brad. Welcome to the Chris Plant Show.
Oh, thank you. When I heard you talking about the ship, about a year ago, I went on Google Maps, Google Earth, and I found the ship parked on the river there in the capital, and they use it as a museum.
Oh, you're talking about the Pueblo, the ship that the North Koreans took from America.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, so it's a museum in North Korea. Huh.
Yeah.
But it's still floating, so there's a chance this president could maybe make the case to get it back. I would hope he would do that. Wow, so you found it. It's on satellite. You're able to see it. That's interesting.
Yeah. Google Maps, Google Earth is amazing what you can see.
It is. It is. Well, thank you, Brad. Appreciate it. I hope you had a great holiday, and hope the next year is going to be a great one for you. Thank you, sir. I've mentioned this now a couple of times. I have to talk about it. I'm a gigantic fan of the First Amendment. I know Chris is a fan of the First Amendment. But I feel like there are dominoes lining up around the world to try and squelch free speech. And I go back to the comment that Hillary Clinton made earlier this year.
But if the platforms, whether it's Facebook or Twitter X or Instagram or TikTok, whatever they are, if they don't moderate and monitor the content, we lose total control. And it's not just the social and psychological effects, it's real harm.
If we don't moderate the content, we lose total control. I think she kind of said the quiet part out loud. If social media doesn't moderate the content and monitor the content, we lose total control. Let's never forget that the Biden administration had regular weekly meetings between White House personnel and leadership and lawyers in all of the social media operations. Until Elon Musk came in and saved free speech, I believe, by purchasing Twitter X. But the Hillary Clintons of the world are not alone. They have advocates all over the world. The president of the European Commission, Ursula von der Leyen, is talking recently about free speech and seems to be describing free speech as if it is a virus in need of a vaccine. Listen.
And finally, it takes resilience. As technology evolves, we need to build up societal immunity around information manipulation.
Hold on a second. Hold on. So we need to build up societal immunity around information manipulation. You're talking about protecting us. You really want to be the big protector of us against manipulated information, because obviously we don't know how to do it ourselves, right?
Because research has shown that
anybody that opens up with a line that says research has shown, that's like saying some people. But I'm sorry I interrupted her, but continue.
Research has shown that pre-bunking is much more successful than debunking.
Got that? Got that? So we need to pre-bunk everything. We need to pre-bunk. Everything that will be told to the people must be checked out before it is told to the people. Seriously. Research has shown us, right?
That pre-bunking is much more successful than debunking. Pre-bunking is basically the opposite of debunking.
No, it's not. That's no, that's not. That pre-bunking means you're not even allowing people to hear something. You're editing it before it goes out. It's not the opposite of debunking.
In short, prevention is preferable to cure.
Prevention is preferable to cure. So they're saying that this is the president of the European Commission, Ursula von der Leyen, says that we need somebody to monitor all the speech before it's out. We need to make sure we know everything that is about to be told to people so we can make sure it's correct. I'm sorry. More 1776, less 1984. That's what I would like.
Perhaps if you think of information manipulation as a virus.
Oh, okay. Information manipulation is a virus. Okay, now we're talking about this. Content, which may or may not have a slant to it, is now going to be on par with a virus. It's a virus.
Instead of treating an infection once it has taken hold, that is debunking. It is much better to vaccinate so that the body is inoculated. Pre-bunking is the same approach.
I'm sorry, I disagree with you, madam. I disagree with you. You're trying to say that speech and information is the same thing as a virus. And we can disagree about words and speech, but, a virus is a virus is a virus, madam. But no, not to the left. They want to sell us this pitch. Look, they sold us the vaccination. They sold us what went down in COVID, that everybody's got to be vaccinated or nobody will be allowed to participate in society. But they're doing this now with speech and censorship.
Because disinformation relies on people passing it on to others.
So does the truth, madam. Information relies on the ability for people to pass it on to others. And sometimes people have to make a decision based on the information that is presented to them. Unless, of course, you're like Hillary Clinton and you want to make sure that if you don't moderate and monitor the content, then you lose. So, well, what did Hillary say herself?
If the platforms, whether it's Facebook or Twitter X or Instagram or TikTok, whatever they are, if they don't moderate and monitor the content, we lose total control.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for saying the quiet part out loud. But now the European Union, which many of us believe the EU's already gone, and God forbid we all become like what we're seeing happening in the UK. But von der Leyen just, she wants you to know that the information is like a virus, especially misinformation.
It is essential that people know what malign information's influence is and what the techniques are that are behind it. And as the knowledge goes up, our chances of being influenced goes down.
Well, yeah, I'm a believer in that. Now, here she kind of understands the concept of free speech. The idea, President von der Leyen, is more speech, not less speech. But no, she's telling you the idea is less speech, is to vaccinate what they will deem misinformation, and who becomes the decider, who becomes the judge, jury, and executioner of speech. No, madam, I'm sorry. I'm not going to side with you and Hillary Clinton. You might disagree. You're welcome to join the conversation. 888-630-9625, 888-630-9625. It's Mike Opelka in for Chris Plant on The Chris Plant Show.
He could have undermined the messaging so much that he can actually control exactly what people think, and that is our job.
Yeah, that's right. That's Mika Brzezinski. She said that on the television. That's our job, to control what people think. No, I'm sorry. Sorry, that's not how this works. It's Mike Opelka in for Chris Plant. We are talking about this First Amendment, the attack on it, and I know I'm not alone. Liz is calling from Arkansas, where somebody in Arkansas has a winning Powerball ticket. Liz, is it you? Please let it be you.
No, the Lord said, don't even waste your money because you're not going to win.
Okay. Well, I hope you know somebody who won and they're generous. That would be a good thing.
I'm just glad it's in Arkansas, you know.
That's good. That's good. That's going to add a lot of wealth to the state. That's a good thing. What's on your mind, Liz?
Well, it sounds like we're in the book 1984. They're controlling the thought police were there, you know, in 1984, and controlling the narrative. Anything you hear, the government was all encompassing, you know, like a puppet manipulating everything, and they changed the history. They're doing whatever they can. They must have really read that as a playbook.
Yeah, it's a manual to them, not a warning. And the Orwell meant it to be a warning. Very good, very good. Thank you, Liz. Again, I hope somebody in your neighborhood comes up with that winning ticket. They don't have to tell anybody for 3 years, which is what I would do. I would be very quiet about it, very quiet. One last call here in this hour. Rob in Georgia. Rob, you have an interesting thought on today's big news story that Donald Trump is unleashing on the ISIS folks in Nigeria. What's up?
Yes, I see that Trump, he always jumped the gun and instead of finding fights and his First Amendment. Well, anyway, what he's doing now is really getting personal because he's bombing Nigeria. That's an African nation that really defenseless, and that's how a bully usually do. They don't bully up against somebody who's equally or powerful than they. They usually pick on someone younger or lighter or smaller. And this is what Trump has always done, instead of, like I said, even with the 9/11 situation. And I never agree with Margaret Taylor Greene, but I agree with her on that. And also, of course, she was kicked on the bus by Trump. But as far as with this bombing of ISIS, it was just a made-up job as far as when George W. Bush and Dick Cheney was with this 9/11 want to go over there in Iraq.
Rob, I'm going to have to cut you off because I'm up against the clock, but I respectfully disagree with you. ISIS is legitimate. They are a terror organization. They are in Nigeria. The government of Nigeria agreed with the plan to take out ISIS, and I suspect if they could have done it themselves, they would have. I give President Trump a big thumbs up on this. All right.